The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the bustling streets of Okinawa. It was 1967, and the air was thick with the scent of salt and fried food, mingling with the laughter and shouts of vendors. Amidst this vibrant chaos, a young American soldier named Tom Anderson wandered through the narrow alleyways, his heart heavy with the weight of war, yet lightened by the thrill of new experiences. Tom had arrived in Okinawa as part of a deployment during the Vietnam War, a conflict that seemed to stretch endlessly, shaping not just the soldiers, but the lives of those around them. Before we start, I'd love to ask for your support. Subscribing helps me keep creating and sharing these stories with you. As Tom strolled through the lively streets, his gaze landed on a small bar adorned with colorful lanterns and a neon sign that flickered intermittently. The bar was alive with music that spilled out onto the sidewalk, beckoning him to enter. With a mixture of curiosity and the need to escape the harsh realities of combat, he pushed the door open, stepping into a world that felt far removed from the chaos of war. Inside, the walls were adorned with photographs of locals and tourists, a collage of memories frozen in time. The atmosphere was filled with laughter and chatter, the sound of clinking glasses punctuating the air. As Tom's eyes adjusted to the dim lighting, he spotted her. A young woman with dark hair cascading over her shoulders, her smile radiant against the backdrop of the bar's inviting ambience. Her name was Yuki. Yuki was a barmaid, a role that defined her existence in this lively establishment. With a quick wit and an infectious laugh, she effortlessly navigated the crowd, pouring drinks and sharing stories. She had grown up in Okinawa, her life shaped by its vibrant culture and the scars left by previous wars. Tom was captivated by her spirit, a stark contrast to the heavy burdens he carried as a soldier. Their eyes met, and in that moment something profound shifted between them. Tom approached the bar, heart racing with the thrill of possibility. As he ordered a drink, their conversation flowed naturally, weaving through laughter and shared stories. Yuki spoke of her dreams of travel, of wanting to see the world beyond the shores of Okinawa. In return, Tom shared tales from his life in America, stories of family barbecues and Friday night football games that felt light years away from the war-torn reality he faced daily. As the night wore on, they found themselves lost in a world of their own. For Tom, Yuki was a breath of fresh air, a reminder of beauty and joy amidst the darkness of conflict. For Yuki, Tom represented the adventurous spirit she longed for, a glimpse into a life filled with possibility. As the bar began to empty, Yuki leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Do you believe in fate, Tom?" The question hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Tom pondered for a moment, his heart whispering that perhaps fate had led him to this bar. To her. "I want to," he replied, his gaze locked onto hers. That night marked the beginning of a connection that would transcend the walls of war and culture. Days turned into weeks, and Tom found himself returning to the bar every chance he got. Each visit deepened their bond, a mix of laughter, shared dreams, and whispered promises. As they spent time together, Tom learned more about Yuki's life, the struggles she faced as a barmaid, the dreams she held close to her heart, and the weight of history that lingered in the air of Okinawa. In return, he shared his fears about the war, the uncertainty that plagued him as he prepared to head to Vietnam. One balmy evening, as they strolled along the beach beneath a sky dotted with stars, Tom took Yuki's hand in his. "I don't know what's going to happen when I leave here," he said softly, "but I want you to know that you mean more to me than I can express." Tears shimmered in Yuki's eyes as she squeezed his hand. "Promise me you'll come back," she replied, her voice trembling. "Promise me you'll find your way back to me." "I promise," he said, his voice steady and reassuring. In that moment, they sealed their promise with a kiss, a moment of pure emotion that felt like a lifeline amidst uncertainty. The warmth of their connection radiated around them, enveloping them in a cocoon of hope. But as the sun rose the next day, casting a harsh light on the reality of their lives, the cruel hand of fate intervened. Tom received orders detailing his deployment to Vietnam, the urgency of war calling him away from the sanctuary he found in Yuki's presence. The news hit him like a tidal wave, crashing through the fragile world they had built together. "Tom, you'll come back, won't you?" Yuki's voice was filled with fear, her eyes wide with concern. Tom could see the turmoil in her heart, a reflection of his own. "I will come back," he promised, though the uncertainty in his own heart lingered. "I'll write to you every chance I get." Their final night together was bittersweet, a mix of laughter and tears, each moment weighed down by the knowledge of what lay ahead. They exchanged letters, small tokens of love that would bridge the gap created by war. Tom cherished Yuki's letters, each word a reminder of her unwavering support, while Yuki held on to Tom's words like a lifeline, finding comfort in the promise of his return. As Tom boarded the plane that would take him to Vietnam, he glanced back at Yuki one last time, her figure growing smaller in the distance. The weight of their shared promise hung in the air, a beacon of hope against the backdrop of uncertainty. In Vietnam, the days blurred into weeks, and the reality of war was harsher than Tom had anticipated. The sounds of gunfire and the chaos of combat became an ever-present backdrop, drowning out the memories of laughter and love he had left behind. Despite the brutality surrounding him, Tom held onto Yuki's letters. They became his sanctuary, a reminder of the warmth of her smile and the promise they had made. Each letter was filled with her dreams and hopes, a reflection of life continuing despite the chaos around them. She wrote about the changes in Okinawa, the festivals that were held even amidst challenges, and how the world seemed to pulse with life, waiting for him to return. With each letter, Tom felt an increasing urge to survive, to return to her, to fulfill the promise he had made. But war was unpredictable, and as the months passed, the toll of battle began to take its toll. The fear and uncertainty seeped into Tom's soul, his resolve tested daily. He grappled with the scars of combat, the weight of loss haunting him even in the quiet moments. Yet, despite the chaos, the thought of Yuki remained a beacon, guiding him through the darkness. Back in Okinawa, Yuki carried on with her life, each day a reminder of the love she held close. She worked at the bar, pouring drinks and sharing laughter, but her heart was always with Tom. She channeled her energy into volunteering, helping those affected by the war, believing that love could heal even the deepest wounds. The letters continued to flow between them, each one a lifeline, a connection to the world that felt so distant. But as time passed, the letters slowed, the responses becoming less frequent. The uncertainty began to gnaw at Yuki's heart, a worry that threatened to overshadow the love they held. Then, one fateful day, a letter arrived that changed everything. It was from a mutual friend who had served alongside Tom, detailing the difficulties he faced in Vietnam and the fear that gripped him. The war was escalating, and as the letter unfolded, Yuki felt the weight of despair settle over her. The promise of Tom's return felt more fragile than ever. Days turned into weeks, and the silence grew louder. Yuki waited by the mailbox, her heart heavy with worry. She clung to the hope that she would see Tom again, that despite the chaos of war, love would find a way. But as months passed with no word, doubts began to creep in. The memories of their time together were a bittersweet reminder of what they had, and the promise they had made felt like a weight on her shoulders. The weight of fear and uncertainty became unbearable. Yuki decided to take action. She reached out to the Red Cross, desperate for any information about Tom. The hope that he was safe and would return to her propelled her forward. With each passing day, she sent letters and inquiries, her heart echoing with the plea for news. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a letter arrived, not from Tom, but from the military. The words were a blur as Yuki read them, her heart racing. It contained the heartbreaking news that Tom had been injured in action, and though he was alive, he had been transferred for treatment in a military hospital. Yuki's heart soared with relief, but the concern for his well-being overshadowed her joy. She immediately made plans to travel to the hospital where he was recovering, determined to see him, to hold him close, to remind him of the promise they had made. When Yuki arrived at the hospital, her heart raced as she navigated through the sterile hallways, each step echoing her anticipation. Finally, she reached his room, and as she pushed open the door, she was met with a sight that took her breath away. Tom lay in a hospital bed, bandaged and pale, but his eyes lit up as they met hers. "Yuki," he whispered, his voice barely audible, yet filled with warmth. All the pain and suffering fell away as she rushed to his side, enveloping him in an embrace that felt like a reunion of souls. They held onto each other tightly, tears streaming down Yuki's face as relief flooded through her. "I was so afraid," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I thought I'd lost you." Tom cupped her face, his thumb brushing away her tears. "You were my light in the darkness. I fought to come back to you." Their reunion was filled with an overwhelming mix of love and relief, yet shadows of the war lingered between them. Tom shared stories of his experiences, the horrors that haunted him, while Yuki spoke of the life she had continued, the hope she had held on to through the silence. "You never left my heart," Yuki whispered, her voice filled with conviction. "I knew you would come back." Tom smiled weakly, but his eyes reflected the weight of his experiences. "It changed me, Yuki. I'm not the same person who left." "But you're still you," she insisted, her voice unwavering. "And I love you, no matter what." As Tom recovered, they spent every moment together, healing not just physically but emotionally. They shared their fears and dreams, weaving a new future from the threads of love that had endured the trials of time and war. Time passed, and as Tom regained his strength, the two began to plan a life together. They discussed dreams of travel, fulfilling the visions Yuki had held onto while waiting for him. It was during one of those conversations that Tom, with a newfound sense of purpose, knelt before Yuki and proposed. "Let's promise to build a life together, no matter the challenges we face," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. With tears of joy in her eyes, Yuki accepted, knowing that their love had weathered the storm of uncertainty. They were bound not just by promises, but by the strength they had found in each other. Years passed and the couple married in a small ceremony surrounded by friends and family, their love a testament to resilience. They traveled the world together, embracing the adventures Yuki once dreamed about. Through it all, they held on to the promise that had begun in a bar in Okinawa, a reminder of the love that had endured the trials of war. As they celebrated their 50th anniversary, surrounded by loved ones, Tom looked at Yuki, still as beautiful as the day they met. "You are my greatest adventure," he whispered, their hands intertwined, a symbol of the bond they had nurtured through every challenge. And in that moment, as laughter and love enveloped them, they knew that their story was one of hope, resilience, and the undeniable power of love, an enduring promise that would last far beyond the confines of time.